Sherry Potts, and welcome back. This is the second audio in my series called The Truth About Change. I hope you enjoyed that first audio where I laid out the 5 A's to creating a change leader framework. We talked about the 5 A's: agreement, alignment, acceptance, action, accountability, and acceleration. I've had decades of experience both as a CEO and as a change leader consultant and a coach to prominent companies across the globe. I've led change and advised leaders of some of the largest corporations on how to merge companies, deploy global business strategies, and execute major reorganizations, all with a focus on leaders delivering the intended results. I recently published a book called The Truth About Change, and it's a leader's guide to successfully executing change initiatives. Be sure to pick up a copy on Amazon or at your local bookstore. And also my website at www.hapgrp.com is full of helpful resources on how to bring your best in leading change. So be sure to check that out. Today, I'm going to cover one of the critical components of leading change, and that's how to gain agreement and alignment with your fellow leaders. While I would love to say that this is a once and done process, honestly, gaining and keeping agreement and alignment with your leadership team and the whole organization is an important role you play as a leader to take the idea through implementation and achieving a result. And this can change throughout the change process. You have probably heard that creating a shared vision is a critical step to setting a direction. Many believe that the vision and the business plan are enough to compel people to action. Well, that's really not the case. Agreement on the direction and a shared vision of the future are critical to enabling people to work together to take the organization where it is today into the future. It requires agreeing on what happened and why it's so important to address now, as well as seeking collaboration and alignment on how to deploy those actions. Imagine if we were to take a vacation together next month and we decided on the location, but we never got aligned around how we spend our time. Maybe I thought we would golf every day, and you maybe thought that we'd hang out on the beach. Maybe you thought it'd be great to have these fancy candlelit dinner affairs, and I thought it would be better after a round of golf to pick up a pizza or a burger. So we both agreed that we needed a vacation and even the fantastic destination. But when we got there, it wasn't the dream vacation we intended. Our lack of alignment on how we would use our time really gunked things up. Now, this is a very simple example, and in business it gets a lot more complicated, and our initiatives come one after another. There's so many things going on. It gets very complex. And oh, by the way, it's not as fun as a day at the beach or a round of golf. So what can we do to ensure agreement and alignment in our business? What stalls our efforts? We've all been in those meetings where we leave all excited about the direction. We get back to our desks to a pile of other issues, and weeks later we can hardly remember the conversations, and we forget to complete those actions. The new ideas are a distant memory, and we have enough pressing issues to attend to. I've also seen in meetings where leaders push the agenda and solution onto the management team, and nobody wants to tell the leader the solution will be difficult to implement. People nod their head in agreement, but they really aren't in agreement. And then the leader assumes that the work will get done, and it fails in execution. We may even agree on the solution, but when we get back and we see that we're working on it, then there are these fits and starts. You don't even have time, the resources, the people, the systems to really make that idea work. The actions in the meeting sounded pretty straightforward and pretty simple, but as you get into the work, the items and the other challenges start to surface, and there are these roadblocks and really unintended issues. So let's talk about the 3 actions you could take to ensure you and your team are in agreement and alignment on a current change initiative. And I suggest to my clients that they take an idea concept, even if you have it formulated into a strategy and process or even a business plan, and have an open and honest dialogue with your leadership team about the direction and what you're truly agreeing to do. I call this the case for change, and it helps to develop a case for change in the beginning and then refer to it very often throughout the life of a program. It helps to then avoid those roadblocks or check and see them ahead of time. So a case for change is actually a series of discussions to lay out what is changing, why the change is so important, and what success would look like. Too often I find leaders believe that they told people about this information. And what I was strongly suggesting is to move from that monologue of telling people what is and start working together as a team to discuss the potential interpretations. In a case for change, the discussion that leaders have helps to create the direction, but also the expectations, the principles, and lays out the future. The team makes decisions, they're able to test the decisions, they're able to work through scenarios so that everyone is clear and understands where we're all headed. And although agreeing on the solution is really not enough, a group I worked with agreed to acquire a business. However, when the leaders discussed the acquisition strategy and integration plans, they were truly not aligned on how to execute the plans. Each business had their different approach. Each team wanted to do it a slightly different way, and what they realized that they were in agreement on a strategy to buy a company, but they needed to get aligned around how to implement the business. Otherwise, the business would lose its value. By working through how things will work, a leadership team will be able to identify the different perspectives, different approaches, and determine how the most effective way to implement their plans. Another aspect of gaining agreement alignment that is always seems to be overlooked is understanding the impact of the change has on others. And when people first hear about a change, it's really normal to ask any one of these questions. First and foremost, what's in it for me? Or how is this going to impact my team? Or how will I handle this with others? Their questions, their comments, and even concerns are working to process things like, what is going on? Why is this happening and happening now, given everything that's going on? How is this really going to work and solve our problems? And who's involved? And when do we get involved? You get the picture. We hear a change, and the first thing we're thinking about is, what's in it for me and how's it going to work? So to gain agreement and alignment, a savvy change leader considers and understands and acknowledges the impact a change has on others. It's more than a check the box the person is for against the change. A savvy change leader knows to build into their plans in the conversations how to engage and enroll people to action. And then the final aspect of gaining agreement and alignment is to consider your own actions. What are you doing and saying that is either helping or maybe hindering the movement in the new direction? You as the leader play a very significant role in leading this change. So here are a couple tips that I find are really helpful when I work with my clients. And oh, by the way, they are in the book. First, be visible. That means to be available and to listen. Second, communicate, and communicate again. And even if you feel like you've said it 10 times, well, say it 10 more times and people will start to see a consistent pattern. You are the role model of change. That's not easy. It can be scary, but you need to walk your own talk. This also means being empathetic to others and helping them working through and processing the change. And people do that at different rates. So understanding that they are going to feel like there are these fits and starts. And then remove the impediments that are in the way of making progress. And I can't say it enough, but provide ample positive feedback. People love to be told that they're doing something right, and then they're going to do more of it. So instead of drilling down on the problem, help people see what's working, give them something to work towards and to look forward to. Find some good way to keep things moving in the right direction. And yes, there are going to be those few times that you're going to have to call out some constructive feedback, but people are going to be more apt to listen to you if you've given them ample positive feedback. So let's recap. I've shared the need to gain agreement and alignment with your leaders and your organizations to continue to test this through the implementation. It's not a once and done. I've shared 3 actions that you can facilitate these discussions to gain agreement and alignment. We've talked about the case for change that builds onto your business plan and explains to people in terms they can understand what's happening and why it's important. And with so much going on, it helps people then prioritize and sequence what needs to happen so that actions are not left to chance. Second, attend to the people side of change. Acknowledge the impact the change will have on people and help them see what's in it for them and why they should be part of this fantastic solution. Finally, your leadership actions count, and they count a lot. So take stock. If what you're doing and saying is actually leading and exhibiting the change you want to see. Agreement and alignment is one of the key A's in the Leader Change Framework. I have a lot more information that can be found in my book, The Truth About Change, and it's available on Amazon. I really look forward to sharing more ideas and insights on future audios on how you can role model change. In my next session in this series, we will discuss how to create a leader change roadmap. And leaders I've worked with have found that this roadmap is extremely helpful for them to know when, where, and how to engage in shaping the new way. You're not going to want to miss it. And if you haven't listened to the first session, I suggest you go back and take a look at that. It's on my website. And until the next time we speak, this is Hillary Potts. Thanks for listening and continuing to bring your best leadership. Bye for now. This audio was produced by Raskin Resource Productions and recorded by Tony Jones.